Child development, policies and programs for children. Constitutional provisions related to children in India. The Constitution of India provides a strong framework for the protection, development, and welfare of children through various fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Below is a detailed explanation of the relevant articles. Fundamental rights. Article 14, Right to equality. Guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of laws to all individuals, including children. Ensures non-discriminatory treatment. Article 15, Prohibition of discrimination. 15.1 Prohibits discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. 15.3 Empowers the state to make special provisions for children and women. This enables child-focused welfare schemes and affirmative actions. Article 21, Right to life and personal liberty. Interpreted by the judiciary to include the right to live with dignity, right to health, nutrition, shelter, and education, especially for children. Article 21A, Right to education. Provides free and compulsory education for all children between 6 to 14 years of age, as a fundamental right. Article 23, Prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor. Protects children from trafficking, bonded labor, and bigar, forced labor. Article 24, Prohibition of child labor. Prohibits employment of children below 14 years in hazardous occupations and factories. Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSPs. Article 39E. Directs the state to ensure that the health and strength of children are not abused and that children are not forced by economic necessity to enter unsuitable vocations. Article 39F. Emphasizes that children should be given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner, with freedom and dignity, and protected against exploitation and moral abandonment. Article 41, Right to work, education, and public assistance. Calls upon the state to provide education and assistance in cases of unemployment, old age, sickness, and disablement, especially relevant for child welfare in marginalized communities. Article 44, Uniform Civil Code. Though not directly related to children, its implementation could impact child rights in the context of marriage, guardianship, and inheritance laws. Article 45, Provision for early childhood care and education. Mandates the state to provide early childhood care and education for children below the age of 6 years. Article 46, Promotion of educational and economic interests of weaker sections. Instructs the state to protect the interests of scheduled castes, SCs, and scheduled tribes, STs, which includes educational opportunities for their children. Article 47, Duty of the state to raise nutrition and public health. Imposes responsibility on the state to improve nutrition, standard of living, and public health, all of which directly benefit children. Article 243G, Powers of Panchayats. Empowers panchayats to prepare and implement schemes for child development, health, education, and welfare at the grassroots level through local governance. National policies on children in India. India has adopted several policies and action plans over the decades to ensure the survival, development, protection, and participation of children. These policies guide legislation, planning, and program implementation related to child rights and welfare. 1. National Policy for Children, NPC, 1974, First official policy for children in India. Recognized children as a supremely important asset of the nation. Committed to securing the rights of children to education, health, nutrition, and protection. Emphasized a comprehensive approach involving family, community, and the state. 2. National Policy on Education, NPE, 1986, focused on universal elementary education and reducing dropout rates. Prioritized early childhood care and education, ECCE. Promoted education for girls and children from disadvantaged groups. Revised in 1992 to reaffirm commitment to child-centered learning. 3. National Nutrition Policy, 1993. Aimed to address malnutrition among children and women. Suggested supplementary nutrition, growth monitoring, and nutrition education. Strengthened programs like ICDS to reach vulnerable children under 6 years. 4. National Population Policy, NPP, 2000, focused on population stabilization with special attention to maternal and child health. Aimed to reduce infant mortality rate, under 5 mortality, and improve child survival. Promoted delayed marriage and childbirth, spacing of births, and girl-child education. 5. National Health Policy, 2002, emphasized child health services, immunization, and control of childhood diseases. Supported integrated child health programs like RCH and later NRHM. Targeted universal access to nutrition and safe drinking water. 6. National Charter for Children, NCC, 2003. A policy document aligned with the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC. Reaffirmed commitment to child survival, protection, development, and participation. Recognized children's right to express views freely, protection from abuse, and access to education and health. 7. National Plan of Action for Children, NPA, 2005. Follow-up to the 2003 Charter. Identified 12 key areas such as health, education, child labor, girl-child, and children in difficult circumstances. Set measurable goals to be achieved by 2010. Provided a framework for coordinated action across sectors. 8. National Early Childhood Care and Education, ECCE, Policy, 2013. Launched by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Aimed to promote holistic development of children, 0 to 6 years. Focused on play-based learning, nutrition, health, and care environment. Strengthened Anganwadi Centers, AWCs, under ICDS. 9. National Policy for Children, NPC, 2013. Replaced the 1974 policy to align with contemporary child rights discourse and UNCRC. Recognized 4 key rights: survival, development, protection, and participation. Prioritized vulnerable groups such as girl children, children with disabilities, SC/ST children, and those in difficult circumstances. Called for a child impact assessment for all policy decisions. 10. National Plan of Action for Children, NPAC, 2016. Operational Plan for the 2013 NPC. Organized under 4 priority areas: survival, health, and nutrition. Education and development. Protection. Participation. Contains key objectives, strategies, indicators, and monitoring mechanisms. Aligns with Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and 5-year plans. Child-related legislations in India. India has enacted several laws to safeguard the rights, dignity, and safety of children. 2 of the most significant recent legal instruments include the Juvenile Justice Act, 2015 and the POSCO Amendment, Bill, 2019. The Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children, Act, 2015. This act replaced the Juvenile Justice Act of 2000 to address issues of juvenile crime, rehabilitation, and child protection more effectively. Key features. 2 categories of children. Children in conflict with law, CCL, those alleged to have committed an offense. Children in need of care and protection, CNCP, includes abandoned, orphaned, or abused children. Trial of juveniles, 16 to 18 years, in heinous crimes. Empowers the Juvenile Justice Board to assess whether a child, 16 to 18 years, involved in a heinous offense should be tried as an adult. Child Welfare Committees, CWCs. Established in every district to care for children in need of protection, ensure their rehabilitation, and monitor child care institutions. Adoption Framework. Establishes a legal structure for adoption through the Central Adoption Resource Authority, CARA. Provisions for rehabilitation and social reintegration. Through foster care, sponsorship, aftercare, and skill training. Offenses against children. Includes penalties for cruelty, employing children for begging, trafficking, and illegal adoptions. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offenses, Amendment, Bill, 2019. This bill amended the POSCO Act, 2012 to strengthen legal provisions for the safety of children from sexual offenses, especially in the digital era. Key provisions. Penetrative sexual assault. Involves penetration of penis, object, or body part into the child's body. Punishable with minimum 10 years to life imprisonment. Aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Committed by persons in authority, e.g. police, teacher, relatives, or using weapons during communal violence, etc. Also includes gang rape and offenses on mentally ill children. Punishment, minimum 20 years, extendable to life imprisonment or death. Aggravated sexual assault. Sexual assault, not necessarily penetrative, by persons of trust or authority. Includes repeated assaults, use of harmful substances, or causing physical harm. Punishment, minimum 5 years, extendable to 7 years or more. Child pornography, CP. Prohibits possession, creation, transmission, or distribution of any visual depiction involving a child engaged in sexual acts. Amended Act introduced stricter punishments for even viewing and storing CP. Storage of pornographic material involving children. Punishable with up to 3 years imprisonment, fine, or both. If shared or distributed, stricter penalties apply. ISPs and online platforms are required to report and remove such content. Programs for the empowerment of children in India. Empowering children requires a multidimensional approach focusing on their health, nutrition, education, and overall development. The Government of India has launched several flagship programs targeting these areas. 1. Integrated Child Development Services, ICDS, 1975. Objective, to provide a comprehensive package of services to children under 6 years and pregnant/lactating mothers to improve their health and development. Key features, supplementary nutrition, immunization, health checkups, preschool education, non-formal, referral services. Nutrition and health education for mothers implementation, delivered through Anganwadi centers, AWCs, managed by Anganwadi workers, AWWs, under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Impact, holistic development of children in the 0 to 6 age group, reduced infant mortality and malnutrition. 2. Midday Meal Scheme, MDM, 1995. Objective, to improve nutritional status and encourage school attendance among children in government and aided schools. Key features, 1 hot cooked meal per day for children in classes I to 8, provides minimum calories and protein, also aims to promote social equity by reducing caste-based discrimination. Implementation, run by the Ministry of Education, often linked with ICDS in pre-primary settings. Impact, improved enrollment, retention, and nutrition, a key strategy to reduce classroom hunger. 3. Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, 2018. Objective, to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education from preschool to senior secondary level. Key features, merged schemes, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, SSA, Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, RMSA, and teacher education. Focus on foundational literacy and numeracy, gender and equity, digital learning and infrastructure, vocational education. Implementation. Centrally sponsored scheme under Ministry of Education, emphasizes learning outcomes and holistic education. Impact, bridges gaps across different education levels, promotes child empowerment through quality education. 4. Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, PMMVY, 2017. Objective, to provide financial assistance to pregnant and lactating women for better nutrition and health, ultimately benefiting the newborn child. Key features, 5,000 Indian rupees incentive for first live birth. Disbursed in 3 installments linked to antenatal care, institutional delivery, Child vaccination and health checkups. Implementation. Under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. Linked with ICDS and Health Department. Impact. Encourages health-seeking behavior. Supports early childhood care indirectly. 5. National Nutrition Mission, NNM/Poshan Abhiyan, 2018. Objective. To reduce malnutrition among children, adolescents, and women through a convergent approach. Key features. Targets. Reduce stunting by 2% annually. Reduce undernutrition, anemia, and low birth weight. Emphasizes. Real-time monitoring. Use of technology, ICDS. Community-based events like Poshan Ma. Implementation. Multi-ministerial effort coordinated by Ministry of Women and Child Development. Impact. Strengthened intersectoral coordination for child nutrition. Promotes behavioral change communication.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in next video.